reading this book and all that you did for every community, including our own community, how do you take it when you hear, especially African Americans and minorities, say that they feel that President Barack didn't do enough for minorities, or didn't do enough for black people?
Black people.
What are your thoughts on that?
You know what? I understand it because when I got elected, there was so much excitement and hope. And I also think that we generally view the presidency as almost like a monarchy, in the sense of, well, once the president's there, he can just do whatever needs to get done. And if he's not doing it, then it must be because he didn't want to do it.
Well, we see it with Trump, though. So he does what he wants to do, so people assume.
Well, right, because he breaks laws.
Right.
And or disregards the Constitution. But look, I think that anybody who goes into public life, they need to understand that, yeah, you're going to get criticized, because that's just the nature of it. If you don't want that, then you shouldn't be in that business. The good news for me was that I was very confident in what I had done for black folks, because I had the statistics to prove it, right? So by the time I left office, you had seen 3 million African Americans have health care that didn't have it before. You had seen the incarceration rate, the number of black folks in prison, drop for the first time in years. You had seen the juvenile correction system, 30% fewer people in there. You had seen black poverty drop to its lowest level since 1968. You had seen black businesses rise. You had seen black income go up. So I could just look at the data and I could say millions of black folks were better off at the time I left office than when I came in. And what I have to accept, and I think what any president has to accept, is the fact that, okay, so I got 20 million people health care, but there's still 10 million out there who don't have health care, because Republicans blocked me from doing everything I wanted to do with Obamacare, because some states didn't accept Medicaid dollars, even though it wasn't going to cost them a dime, just because they wanted to oppose me. So if you're black and you're one of those 10 million who didn't get health care because they live in a state that didn't accept the money we were giving them, I can understand why they would be upset. How come things didn't change?
I think people want to know, like, what did you do specifically for black people? Not the rising tide lifts all boats types of rhetoric, because we all know black people's boat got a hole in it. So the systemic things that were done to black people to put us in these positions, we need specific systemic things to get us out. So what did you do in that regard?
What I'm saying, Charlamagne, is black poverty dropped faster than everybody else. Black incomes went up more than a lot of other folks. So the issue is sometimes we just didn't go around advertising that, because once again, the goal here is to build coalitions where everybody is getting something so that they all feel like they've got a stake in it. But a lot of my policies were targeted towards people most in need. Those folks are disproportionately African American. Now, there are some things that, for example, us having a civil rights division in the Justice Department that actually took seriously civil rights and imposed consent decrees on places like Ferguson, and changed sentencing guidelines so that we didn't max out on sentencing for all nonviolent drug offenses, but changed the incentive so that prosecutors were judged not by how long of a sentence you got, but did you get a proportional sentence? Was it a fair sentence? Those kinds of changes that we made, that's why I say there's a reason why the federal prison population dropped. By the way, at the same time, the crime also dropped. right? So we were able to show that you can have a smart strategy in terms of reducing crime without expanding incarceration. But the truth of the matter is, Charlamagne, at the end of the day, there is no way in 8 years to make up for 200 years.
Absolutely.